Hi there and welcome to another IronWorks Brewing video. Today we're doing something slightly different. We're doing a wine kit. Yeah, so something different today. Doing a wine, getting prepped up a little bit for Christmas, I suppose. Getting a few different beers going. I've got some more coming up soon. So if you're into this kind of stuff, like and subscribe. The kit that we're doing today is the Wine Expert Classic, and it's a Viognier, it's a Californian, and there's a lot of instructions that come with this. It's quite a complicated process, but let's start it up and see where we get to. Okay, so this is the kit that we've got. There's the bag of obviously grape juice in there. That's quite heavy. I'll not lift that out. And then a whole pack of stuff. Now I'll come to those in a second. Instructions, as you can see, quite long, quite complicated. You do need a fair amount of kit. So obviously you're going to need a couple of fermenters. Once you've done the primary fermentation, you then have to move it into a different one. This stuff in terms of stabilizing and degassing and clearing and polishing and racking and aging, and oh my god, it's certainly different to a brewing beer, but all looks fairly straightforward. I'll do a quick snapshot of the information that's on here. As you can see, you've got the different stages. It takes 4 weeks, they reckon. And that's quite helpful because you've also got, you can't see that on there, but you've got sections for day 1, and then at day 14, and then you've got a little area where you can put your dates in, and you can also put your different gravity readings so that you can actually check it ongoing. So it also does talk in terms of oak chips or granular oak. We've not got any in that because of the style of the wine. And essentially today we are sterilising our primary fermenter. We need to put a couple of litres of hot water. So I've got my boiler, but obviously a kettle would do that quite easily. So I've got my boiler on to do a couple of litres of hot water. Once the primary fermenter is sterilised, and I'll drain all of that away. In fact, I've got a keg a couple of kegs to clean out, so I'll actually transfer that into my bucket blaster and then reuse that, and then I'll give it a good rinse, and we'll be ready to start. So clean and sanitize anything that we're touching, anything at all once you're in fermentation stage. It's got to be absolutely sanitary. So even scissors and stuff that you're going to be cutting with, I tend to spray the packets also with some Star San, or Chemsan, just so that you know your hands be in and out with tubes and stuff like that through the Star San phase. But that is the primary purpose, really. You've got to get everything as absolutely spot on as you possibly can. I've got VWP in the fermenter. When I opened it, it hadn't been used for a while, so I've given that a good hot water wash round. Got rid of any bits and bobs that I could see visibly. I've got the VWP in there. That'll be there for 30 minutes. I think it's a couple of grams per litre, and I'll leave that in there for 30 minutes and let that do its stuff. We'll then give it a full empty and rinse with cold fresh water, and then I'll spray some Star San around it just so that we're ready to go. All my other little bits and bobs like the airlock, the bung that's going to go in the top of the fermenter, all that kind of stuff. Anything that's touching the wine will go into Chemsan, so it's all absolutely sterile and ready to go. But we'll do this over probably a couple of stages, so you might see me change in terms of what I'm wearing and stuff, because like I said, it is over a 4-week period, and then we'll do it as a video in one go. So keep watching, and I'll get back to you when we're ready to do the next step. Okay, so this is a bit of a close-up of the instructions. Like I said, there's 5 stages altogether. day 1, which is where we are, obviously, is primary fermentation. It tells you all the different steps to go through, all the different bits to add in readiness. Then you've got day 14 stabilising, day 15 clearing, day 25 to 54 polishing and racking, and then step 5, which is bottling. Once obviously you've got your clear wine. It also gives you all the details here in terms of what equipment you need. So paddle, some bung, hydrometer, wine thing for bottling. I'm going to actually use wine bags and put them in boxes, put them in sort of 2 litres at a time. It works for me, and I think is easier. But yeah, looking pretty good. Okay then, so the water's up to boil, boiling away in there. So back to the instructions, and we've got the primary fermenter all cleaned, sanitized. It's got a little bit of Chemsan just sat just there for a second. Now we need 2 litres of hot water, and I've sanitized the jug and everything. So like I said, anything that's going to be touching your wine, anything, to be honest, brewing, winemaking, cider making, whatever. And once you get to fermentation stage, once all the boiling's gone and all of that kind of stuff, you absolutely need to be as clean as anything. Sanitize, sanitize, sanitize. Can't stress that enough. So we'll get the fermenter in. Right. So I think I'm going to do this on the floor. So that's my jug, it's been cleaned, that's my lid, it's got Chemsan on. Let me just make sure that you guys can see what we're doing. Just move you a little bit there, and drop you down a tad, as that. Okay, so we've got this wine kit, a bag of wine in there, and we now need 2 litres of boiling water. My jug is 2.2. Can turn that off. I will use a 2.2 actually. So by the time it's gone in here, it'll cool off slightly, and then we're going to use a little bit more to put into the bag, just to rinse it around to get out as much of that grape juice as possible. But before we whack the grape juice in, I think we've got to add the bentonite, which is a sachet. In there, very good. Just noticed I've still got a couple of blips on the old oil for the neck. That's on another video, by the way, so don't forget, like and subscribe. Fab. So that says 2.2 litres of red hot water. Steaming it up the old windows. First job is adding the bentonite. So we've got a yeast, packet of yeast that comes with it, and you've also got pre-weighed out measure of bentonite. I have no idea what these things do. Clearly for the wine making process. So some star sand, Chemsan. Is it star sand? Is it Chemsan? Nobody knows. Bentonite. Now apparently, according to the instructions, this might not fully dissolve. Put that in there. I've also got my paddle, which I've also cleaned and sanitized. In fact, bear with me 1 second, and drop you over here just so you can see what's going off. So there's his wine kit. This is the bentonite that's just gone in, and I'm going to mix it, get rid of the lumps, I guess. You don't want that. few little bits. Like I said, it does say on the instructions that it won't dissolve fully. I will just double check I have not misread that. So bear with me 1 second. Let's have a look over here. So, pour 2 litres of hot tap water in the primary fermenter and stir bentonite. Mix well. It is normal for bentonite not to fully dissolve in the water. Right, okay, that's good. That's not looking too bad. A few bits in there, but I'm assuming once the grape juice goes in, that'll have some kind of reaction. Okay, so we'll plonk you back up on here. Bear with me 1 second. Yep. Now we've got the bag of grape juice. I'm just going to make a bit of that on. And take off the lid. Bastard. Okay, so that's the grape juice going in. Oh, wow, smells nice. Okay, I'm going to carefully add a little bit of water in here. It says to rinse it through. Now, one thing I maybe forgot to mention at the beginning, I don't know whether I can't remember whether I did or not, but this makes 23 litres. So a fair few bottles of wine. That's looking pretty good. And then very, very carefully take that without burning one's fingers. Into here. The RO water's just about topped up. That's good. Get rid of that. Give that a little stir. Okay, so we've put the juice in there, we've rinsed the bag out, and then we've added that in there. We're now going to top up this fermenter now with up to 23 litres. I've got a 23 litre mark somewhere on the side, which is the top of this green tape. And I'm going to use RO water to do that. You could use tap water, obviously. If you're going to use tap water, I would highly recommend putting it into a container first, either boiling it so that you get rid of any of the chlorine. If you've not got that, some Camden tablets are also very, very good. So I've got RO water, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to top that up. And that's coming up nicely to 23, a bit of a slope, 23 litres. And that, get rid of the box. Well, it smells nice. Okay, So I'm just going to temporarily put that on there. I'm going to have a clean down on here, and that's where the fermenter is going to sit. I'm going to be kegging the dry stout, so ultimately it's going to live there, but I just need to do a bit of a tidy up first, and I'll come back to you in a second. Okay. So we've got the 23 litres. I've got the sachet of, clean down my scissors again. It's all good. Just one final read of the instructions. So 2 litres of hot water, rinse out the bag, stir well. So we'll give it a quick whack in a second, and just before we pitch the yeast in, we just need to do an hydrometer reading, which we'll do next. So let's just get some circulating. Okie dokes. Paddle in for cleaning. Just put the lid on, we don't want any bits and bobs dropping in there. Hydrometer. It's there already. Just gone slightly above the 23, so let's do a quick hydrometer reading. I need to tip a bit out of this. Let's see. Yep. Right. I don't know whether you can see that. Right, let's have a look where we should be. All others should be, on day one, should be 1080. 1080 and to 1100. So we are, let me show you this, the hydrometer. Okay, I don't know if you can see that clearly. But we are, of course it would, the big numbers would tend to spin round, wouldn't they? Always want to be the opposite side of where the camera is. So it's just pretty much, let me get the camera in. It's pretty much bang on the bottom of that blue line, and the bottom of that blue line is 1090. So that's smack bang where it needs to be, which is good. Fantastic. That's cleaning. We will mark that down on the instructions. And now we are ready for sprinkling in the yeast. Sprinkle dry yeast on top of juice, place the lid on, and then normal practice with putting some, I always put Chemsan in the airlocks, and then seal it up. So we will do the, just whip the lid off. Everywhere you want to put it, it wants to fall over, of course. Like that. Sprinkle all over. Okay, so we are sprinkling it over the top. As that absorbs the liquid, because it's dried yeast, it'll probably sink and then obviously start to produce the fermentation process, which is essentially the yeast itself eating the sugars in the juice, and that's what's converting into alcohol. It doesn't say anything about stirring, so we'll go with the instructions, but that's looking pretty good. So I'll put you back on the tripod and we will get the lid on. So we'll get the lid on. Got the Chemsan in the lid. If I remember rightly, these are nicely sealed. Got me sanitised and cleaned bung, and the airlock in a clean and sanitised and then we've got some Chemsan and a lid going with the old bubblers. Found one of them in the cupboard, so we'll have a go with that. Fabulous. Put the little cap on, and that is pretty much day one done. Let's just look at the destruction. So I do need to put 1090 on, which is what our specific gravity was at stage 1. So I've done the yeast, we've put the lid on, we've put the airlock in, keep fermentation. So now we need to put it in a warm area, 20 to 25 degrees, 68 to 77 Fahrenheit for the entire winemaking process. I can't do that. However, I have got a heat band, and I will be fitting a heat band to this, and I will set that, and I'll show you that in a second. Okay, I've just had a minor blip power cut, but everything seems to be okay. We'll now have a look at fitting the heat band. I'm going to do a quick review, not a review so much, a bit of a intro onto one of these. I'd run out of them. I've got this one on here, and I thought I was going to be starting this beforehand, so I needed to get some more heat bands. I've got the ones that sit underneath that look like this as well, as a heat plate, but you still need some kind of controller because it is literally just on, and I think this one is around about 25 watt, but you can't monitor the temperature. All you can do is effectively put it on, and it stabilizes at that 25 watts continuously. So I do prefer the Inkbirds, and like I said, I will do another quick vid in terms of this one. Found it on Amazon, made in China, but it's got a controller, a temperature controller, and also a temperature probe that fixes to the side of here. So let's get this set up. I'll plug it into the wall socket. Now this one, like I say, I will do a quick video on it, because it's actually got, not only has it got temperature control, but you've also got your heat control. So you can actually have it, instead of the full, which I think is a 40 watt maximum. Look, yes, 40 watt maximum. It'll control it between 5 and 45 degrees, but obviously we want it at that, what did it say, 20 to 25. So fairly straightforward. I'll turn that on in a second. Basically, it just goes over. I quite like this one because it's got a decent sized belt on it. That's pretty much it. The controller, you need to put the thermostatic probe on. It's got this sticky pad. I don't know how good that sticky pad is as well. There you go. But there is also, and I've put that somewhere, this Velcro, a couple of Velcro straps for different size fermenters, demijohns, all of that kind of stuff. A bit of Velcro, and looking at it from the instructions, that basically goes around there. Now I would have normally used duct tape or something, gaffer tape. Do I want it that way around? Right. Oh no, I was right. And No, I wasn't right. I was right that time. That goes through there. Basically, put that a little bit further down, put it there. Goes over there. And then holds the probe into position. Fairly straightforward. That's touching the side like that. Then turn it on. And then you've got a power. Like I say, I will do another quick video on these, but you've got a power, press power, and that's 19.2. You want to set we want it to be, let's say 20, we want 20 to 25, so we set it to 20, 22. Set. It's a 19.5, heating bands now come on. So if you hold the set again, that's a timer, not going to use that. So L5, so it's 50% of its total. So that's like at 22 watt output. So we'll just up that to L6, that's 60% of the total capacity of the heat band. So yeah, pretty good. And 19.9, so it's now monitoring the temperature, which is all good. We'll use my little hook, stick it on there, that can go there, and that's pretty much done. So just in terms of what we've done today, we've done the Wine Expert kit. It's 23 litres. We're at day 1. It's a 5-step process, it takes 4 weeks, but we've got enough done to be able to get it in the primary fermenter, and we'll start to see some movement on the airlock over the coming days. I'll do this all as one video, and yeah, we'll catch up in 14 days and do the next step, which is stabilizing and degassing, and then we sort of add some of those other chemicals. So I need to keep me stuff together. I'll put that on here. In fact, I'll put that to one side, and I'll keep the instructions with that so I don't lose those. And yeah, I'll catch you in a bit.